living through a communist revolution. We are living through a communist coup, a global communist takeover of the United States of America. I have a crazy prediction. Come back and check on me on this, but I have a nuts prediction. I think by 2032, the majority of black men in America will be voting non-Democrat. Kamala didn't put black men in jail. It was only like 45. All these fact checkers, NBC, running actual propaganda defense for Kamala. One paragraph underneath the fact check is, yeah, she put thousands of people in county jail. There's a difference between jail and prison. So she really only put 45 people in jail, but she put thousands in prison. The media has taken it upon themselves to see if they can get Kamala elected. Can they manipulate half of the nation?
Everyone's a victim!
It's your boy Gerard Michaels here for a Friday, beautiful Friday down here in Boca Raton, Florida. Gerard versus Evil is now reaching 20 episodes. We have Skylar, our Skylar Kelly over here in the booth. The dude with the two chick names. Skylar came to the comedy show last night. You have fun last night, Skylar?
Yeah, it was great, bro.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate everybody who came out to the show last night in Boca Raton, the Sad Man Comedy Cafe. Love that place. That was a ton of fun. And now we shall talk about what is going on in the world today. We shall unburden our pasts with the future of what can be. There's a famous line in one of the most influential books I've ever read, and I'm sure one of the most influential pieces of literature in the entire, history of mankind, but certainly the 20th century, and that's the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And it goes, they are lying. We know that they are lying. They know that we know that they are lying. We know that they know that we know that they are lying. And yet still, they lie. That is the essence of true power, true corruption, when you've entered into a kleptocracy where the criminals run the government. And we're seeing that happen here in America, live before our eyes, as the media and the tech moguls collaborate to try to change history, try to erase history. It's been all over X, if you're on it. People claiming that Kamala was never the border czar. That's just Republican disinformation. And then play 5 minutes worth of receipts of people on MSNBC and CNN, certainly not Republicans, calling her the border czar, saying that she was appointed at the border. Now that's being memory holed, and all the useful idiots are standing up to her defense saying she was never at the border. She didn't have anything to do with the border. Oh, by the way, they're doing a good job at the border, so, whatever. But she was never there. We don't remember, guys? We don't remember that epic speech with her clearly sober. Don't come. Do not come. We don't remember that? We don't remember how it was the most viral thing the Trump campaign could do, because immediately he cuts in and goes, I'm going to come. You don't remember? Do we not remember, guys? Do we not remember AOC dressed in all white crying at Trump's kids in cages? Remember that? Turns out those cages were Obama's. Ooh. But we don't remember. We don't remember Kamala. We don't remember Cammy the communist, going down to the border and getting stern with those Mexicans. Do not come. Don't do it. Yeah, that'll stop them. Remember now. What you're about to see never happened. You're misremembering it like something straight out of Orwell, straight out of Stalinist Russia. You did not see this. You did not hear this. Go ahead, bud.
Quote,
Play.
unquote, border czar. Vice President Harris was not
Where's the
a
audio?
border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris
They
and
hear it?
immigration was
Okay.
not true. She
That's
was
fine.
never appointed.
As long as they hear
border
it.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border.
This is CNN for the people on TikTok. This is, we're playing a video of CNN telling everybody that Kamala was never the border czar. Just get like professional gaslighting and then cutting back to CNN from 2021 where they're calling her the border czar.
They were very critical of Kamala
It's remarkable.
Harris, especially in her role as
Remarkable.
border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border
However
czar.
much you hate the media, guys, it's not enough. However much you hate the media, it is just simply not enough.
Which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
You're positive they can hear it there, Skylar? Because
I believe so.
The people over here are telling me they can't hear it.
They can't hear it on TikTok or what?
Yeah, well, that's all right. Sorry, TikTok. You're falling over.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. You guys got to go over to YouTube or X. I'm going to throw the phone. I'm going to throw it. There we go. Yeah. Another great one that they're trying to memory hole, guys, is Kamala did not put thousands of black men in jail. How hilarious. I got to tell you, for all the bullshit the left has put us through for the last 12 years, 15 years, I love nothing more than when they have to eat their own. It's like like the Schadenfreude I feel when they have to eat their own it's just, it's the best. There's nothing better when the snake eats its own tail. These slithery communists, these gross human beings, just the worst human beings, just the absolute worst, these communists. And when they start lying to just justify things in their mind, it just tickles me down deep into my soul. You know, when they start saying things like, Kamala didn't put black men in jail. It was only like 45. And then you read the fact checkers, all these fact checkers, NBC, running actual propaganda defense for Kamala. One paragraph underneath the fact checked is, she put thousands of people in county jail. There's a difference between jail and prison. So she really only put 45 people in jail, but she put thousands in prison. So they're using the semantic difference between jail and prison to try to improve her record, right? Because she's this left wing. She's this far leftist. She's defund the police. She's ACAB. All cops are bastards. ACAB. Except for Kamala the cop, the attorney general, who puts her own people away forever and cackles about it. She's a villain. She's a villain, man. She is a DC villain. Her ambition, it's to be commended. How somebody could just lie, knowing that we have the receipts. Now they're trying to act like she didn't support the rioters. She supported Black Lives Matter. She never supported the rioters. She never tried to help anybody who was a domestic terrorist. Yeah? We have the tweets of her retweeting the legal fund defense to post bail for people that were arrested for looting, rioting, arson. That's our presidential candidate right there. Burn your city to the ground for their power. Give her more power. That's for sure. That's somebody who definitely deserves to have the unlimited power of the United States government at her fingertips. as if she doesn't already. 14 days ago, someone took a shot at former President Trump. And everybody's over it. I can't even, it's not even being covered anymore. This is the greatest test. This is the danger, I think. This is the greatest test of the media's power of all time. The media has taken it upon themselves to see if they can get Kamala elected. Can they manipulate half of the nation into believing that a woman who had to leave her own party's primary because she was polling so low. In 2020, she was polling at 2%. 2%. But now she's the appointed one. Coronation. Like a pope. All of the Democrat bishops came together. They convened. They connived. And then the white smoke goes up. Or probably the brown smoke now goes up. And Kamala is the new pope of the Democratic cult. What do you think, Skylar, about the accusations of Satanism and the occult when it comes to Kamala, and how she's always making the two up, two down motions with her hands, always going with the same hands, with the right hand up and the left hand down, Have you seen this?
Is that cerebral palsy or
no? It's not cerebral palsy. What can be unburdened by what has been, right? And it's apparently, I'm not much into Satanism, but apparently that's a well-known satanic hymn, right? Like the idea of year zero, day zero, year zero, starting over, eliminating all of the past. Now you got to remember, guys, that there's a big connection between communism and just destruction, right? Like most people who are anti-capitalists are 80 IQ people who have no idea what capitalism actually is or communism. They just hate the system as it is. And they want to start over, right? So they're not communists. They're destructionists. They're kids who want to see the world burn. That's really what it comes down to, right? So this whole idea of year zero, this is the French Revolution. The French Revolution, the concept was after the Jacobins, one of the earliest communists that we have, unless you want to go back to the Gracchi brothers in Rome, who got killed. The Jacobins wanted to start over, year zero, a whole new calendar, a whole new way of telling time, a whole new way of everything. They wanted everything to start over. They wanted to create everything in their image. Something to do with LA and Satanism. I don't know what the deal is, but there's something with Satanism in Los Angeles and, San Francisco up there. There's something going on. There's some kind of behind the scenes thing that there's something happening that we don't have knowledge of. There's something happening that we don't have information of. There's some kind of group, cabal. There's too much imagery for it to be coincidence. It's too much. There's just too much, These are the epicenters of culture. It used to be New York, right? It used to be like New York and LA, maybe Chicago. But it's really LA. And, well, it's still New York for old money. But San Francisco, with all the tech money, is really the new epicenter of the zeitgeist, right? Silicon Valley, San Francisco, everything tech comes out of that area, It's where the money is now. And I guess if you want to say Austin, but, it's still LA, San Francisco, Some weird stuff with the Satanism stuff, some weird stuff with the British crown when you start getting into it, Prince Charles or now King Charles. That's one of the better conspiracy theories going out around is that that the princess there, she's actually unalived, and that insane Dracula painting of him was painted with her blood. That's one of those great 4chan ones right there. You know, stuff like that is so crazy. It's just so crazy. But at this point, what's not real? I don't know. Like, is there any conspiracy out there right now where I can just like say there's no way, like off the top, like there's just no way. I don't like every conspiracy now has to be at least explored. Like every single conspiracy has to be like, I don't know, maybe. You just can't outright, you know, like I know Candace Owens is out there on her media tour, and she just said that I believe she says dinosaurs aren't real, you know. And my initial reaction to her saying dinosaurs aren't real is like, Candace, what are you doing? But then you go, you know what? How the hell would I know? You know, like, you know, I've never seen a dinosaur. I mean, her logic is so flawed that, you know, dinosaurs didn't exist until, you know, 1825 was the first time they found a bone. And then they found all these bones, and China's been caught trying to fabricate bones. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I guess. But like, you know, airplanes didn't exist until like 1905, right? So like, does that mean like a jet airplane is that fake? I've been on airplanes. I know airplanes are real. I don't, the logic just doesn't track. But also at the same time, like, I don't know. Like maybe would if it came out that dinosaur fossils were this global conspiracy to what end? I'd be like, oh, of course they are. Who knows? Who knows, man? Oh man, Ginger2 says maybe you need a job. This is my job, Ginger. You're commenting on it, loser. Go on X or YouTube and comment there so Skylar can read your comments, you goobers.
All right, so Luke himself says hundreds of famous cases of fake dinosaur bones. All dinosaurs on display are plaster. It's proven dinosaurs existed beside humans.
Is that right?
Guess so.
Is it? Luke, I don't know enough to argue with you. I just, you know, like, why? I just don't understand who benefits. Who benefits from lying about dinosaurs? Like, who benefits from this concept that that dinosaurs? So he's saying dinosaurs existed, but they existed amongst humans. So the idea that there was no comet then, is that the... Okay.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. And I do know that the term fossil fuels, it's not dino goo, it's carbon. It's mostly like compressed trees.
Like plant matter.
And plant matter that create, you know, the fuel that we know as quote unquote fossil fuels. But they do, because they've quoted it like that. Every kid in America thinks that we're grinding up dinosaurs, you know, to make the Toyota run.
Well, apparently his theory aligns with that of the Bible. So,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
The Christian nationalists, the Christian nationalists are gonna be a problem. You know, you just know it. The Nick Fuenteses of the world, the Groypers. There's nobody on earth that can convince me that Nick Fuentes is not a government op. There's just nobody that can convince me that this dude is not a Fed. That dude, that's the arbiter of Christian nationalism. He's what you know, Aryan extremist, ideologically Aryan people see themselves as. Nick Fuentes, 120-pound goober. That dude is a nerd. That dude's a goober. Even the way he walks, the way he moves, he doesn't have an athletic bone in his body. That's not a leader. You're going to tell me that this guy organically got that huge following and that his ideas all boil down to like 1950s KKK ideas? And there's just no way. He's a psyop. He just has to be. That's my that's my conspiracy theory. You know? But he attracts a lot of people who feel disenfranchised as the Democratic Party, you know, strengthens its base around nothing but angry women, opportunistic black folks, and gay people. Those are the three pillars, and somehow Palestine fits in there. Those are the three pillars of the Democratic Party. People that are none of those things, they're going to look for something. And if by some chance we are actually able to repel this communist revolution, which make no doubt about it, we are living through a communist revolution right now. We are living through a communist coup, a global communist takeover of the United States of America. Fifth generation warfare is what we are living through right now. Psychological warfare. You're seeing the propaganda we just showed you. They're telling you, they just gaslight you. They're telling you that your eyes are lying to you. They're telling you that your memory is wrong. Your instincts are wrong. Financial warfare. They want us all to be dependent upon the state. They're trying to destroy everybody's future through their nonstop spend. I mean, we're bankrupt. We are a bankrupt nation. We spend more on debt than we do on everything except our military. You couldn't run a family household like that. You couldn't forget a business, forget a corporation, definitely not a country. We're spending money from 100 years from now, right now, today. Modern monetary theory, another one of the great evils to come out of academia. We're going to look back at our academics, our high-level academics, and I think that we're gonna see them as the root cause for our downfall. These people who thought they were smarter than everybody else. It's really a remarkable narcissism when you think about higher education. When you think about academics, people who have never spent a day in the real world, but have the temerity to lecture other people on how the real world works. People that could not compete, people that could not last a day in your world get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach your kids about how the world works. It's really remarkable when you think about it. It really is. You know, outside of playing baseball, I got nothing out of college. Nothing. I went to a quote-unquote great school. I don't have kids yet, but when I do, I really don't think I'm going to encourage them to go to college. I don't think so. I think that there are way better usages of your time and money, you know, than just, I mean, honestly, let's call it what it is. It's 4 years of camp, right? Like, that's the idea. It's sleepaway fuck camp. You get to get away from the pain. You want Rumspringa? And now it's not 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. People are going. I'm all for education. I believe in education. But I don't think higher education has anything to do with education. I don't think primary education does either. I think it goes from obedience training to indoctrination. Show you're on the team. Show you're one of us. Show that you're going to be one of the good members of the party. I don't like the way this is trending, guys. But what's odd about it is our founding fathers knew that this would happen. Go back and read the Federalist Papers, folks. Read the Federalist Papers or get them on ebook. Have them read to you while you're driving. It's remarkable. Our founding fathers were having these debates 250 years ago, and they were right. They were brilliant men. They really were. They were brilliant, brilliant, brilliant political minds. And they studied thousands of years of Mediterranean, mostly. Not world history, Mediterranean history. European mostly, but also North African, Egyptian, Middle Eastern. They studied how governments work and why governments always tend towards one thing: centralization of power. And it happens over and over and over and over again. It's inevitable. It's only how long the people are able to keep it at bay. It's why Ben Franklin famously said, a republic, if you can keep it. Because they had known after 10 years of studying. Remember, what was the first Continental Congress, Schuyler, was when? You can look that up. The first Continental Congress, let's say it was 1776, maybe? 1776, does that sound about right? 1775? But then our Constitution was not ratified.
1 year off. 1774.
1774.
Yeah.
1774 was the first Continental Convention.
Yeah, good guess.
Then the Constitution was not ratified until when? 1790? 1789? I believe it was 1789. So if it was 1789, just think about that, folks. Some of the best minds history has to offer worked on this for 15 years to put this thing together. This thing that they want to destroy. And make no mistake about it. The Kamala Harrises of the world, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the left wing want to destroy America. That is not hyperbole. That is their stated objective, to fundamentally change this country. Kamala Harris has been open and honest, to her credit, that she believes that wealth and resources need to be redistributed along racial and gender lines. She believes in equality of outcomes. There is a government, a style of government that believes in the same. It is called communism. There's a lot to be said about the Civil War, right? There's a lot to be, if you're able to somehow look at it objectively without, becoming hyper-focused on the racial aspects of it. If you look at the Civil War, and again, as a guy that loves America, got America tattooed on my body, I've been traveling this country since I was 17 years old. I love it here. But as far as states' rights are concerned, if the South had known that they could never leave the Union, they would have never ratified the Constitution. They would have been their own countries. And we would be more of European. There would be the Republic of Virginia, the Principality of North Carolina. Now, would that have been good? Is it good that Lincoln threw the Constitution away? And he did. This is not condemning Lincoln, but he suspended the First Amendment. He controlled the media. He imprisoned people that were critical of him and didn't let the South do what they wanted. Now, you can make the argument that, slavery was a crime against humanity and that it needed to be eradicated. So they had the moral right, the moral imperative to enforce federal law upon those states. But really, if you look at it from the concept of self-governance, if you look at it from a perspective of what we think this country is supposed to be about, the rule of the people want it out. They voted. The people in those states voted to leave the United States. If that's what the people wanted, why wouldn't the United States let them leave? Now, you can say, this is not making a moral judgment about the South and about, obviously slavery. And I am of the opinion slavery would have died out anyway. Slavery didn't end because of the Civil War. Slavery ended because of innovation, because of the cotton gin. Slavery ended because slavery is very, very, very expensive, the same way imperialism ended. Capitalism ended slavery. Now, everybody blames capitalism for slavery, but capitalism ended slavery. It's very expensive to house, feed slaves. As poorly as you can treat them, it's still very expensive. It's a lot more expensive than a lawnmower. It's a lot more expensive than a cotton gin. Machines, industrialization ended slavery. Or did it? Are we wage slaves? Are we tax slaves? Are we all indentured servants? That's a whole nother conversation. But slavery was going to go away in the South anyway. Would have taken years. So, hey, look, if you were a slave, you're like, no, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting for innovation. No, free me now. I totally get it. But as far as the principles of what our country was supposed to be founded on, yeah, Lincoln really did not follow those. The first Republican president, anything but small government. I see it from both sides. I really do. I see Lincoln doing what he had to do to keep the Union together. But then I see the South being like, hey, why do we need to keep the Union together? Like, what the hell? We want to do our own thing. Why can't people be allowed to do their own thing? Isn't that the whole point of this? Isn't that the whole point of this experiment in self-government? Let us do our thing, man. We just want to do our thing. Now, what would have happened if we did? Would we have had a balkanization? Would it be like Europe? Would North Carolina eventually invade South Carolina to make it one Carolina? Would New York invade New Jersey? Would they argue over territorial claims in Staten Island? Like, who knows? It would have been messy. It would have been very messy for sure. Mexico retakes Texas, California. We weren't done with imperialism. If the Civil War, if the South was able to break away with the Civil War, I wonder if Britain would have had one last gasp at empire, come back over, take over some places. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, so Luke seems to be pretty invested in this. His most recent one was cities in the north burned in riots against the government for attacking its own citizens.
Yeah. Not only that, don't forget, we want to talk about the immigration crisis. Irish, Polish, Italian, they got off the boats at Ellis Island, and they either had to pay $500, which back then would be the equivalent, I believe, of about 20 grand today.
Damn, that's crazy.
Or they were shipped down south to go fight for the North in the front lines.
What?
Because the war was so unpopular in the North that they took the immigrants and they immediately, as soon as they were processed at Ellis Island, they were shipped to the battlefronts and fought.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think about birds? Brett Patterson mentioned birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. That's another great one. Have you ever seen a baby bird? Birds hatching eggs. Have you ever seen a bird? Why aren't there bird eggs everywhere? How come we're not walking on bird eggshells? Birds aren't real. They're all drones to watch you. That's got to be the most tinfoil hat. That's got to be.
It's up there for sure.
That's got to be one of the most tinfoil. Can you imagine living your life looking at birds and thinking like, oh, the government's watching me again? That's a rough way to go.
Yeah, I couldn't relate.
Can you imagine like that's the one that ends up being true out of all of them? You know, like I always thought about that. You know, I was thinking about doing a bit one time, and I'm like thinking about like, man, you know, how do I How do I make my case that I deserve to go to heaven? Like I'm sitting there with St. Peter, and like St. Peter pulls out this list, and I'm like, oh no, that's all my sins. That's all of them. Oh man, that's thick. That's a thick list. And he's like, yeah, you ate meat. You ate meat on Friday over 2,000 times in your life. I was like, what? That's the one? It was the meat on Friday? Yeah. I'm like, none of the other ones? No, the other ones are fine.
Oh, they're fine.
It was the meat on Friday. That's why you can't come into the club. It's like, what? What? I can't come in the Sky VIP because I ate meat on Friday? Ah, man. Ah, jeez.
I mean, it's the same concept with like Dogecoin. You know, it's probably going to be the least expected one, given it's one of the sillier ones. But
nah, Doge, you got to take Doge serious. It would be more like Pepe or like.
But in the initial phase,
yeah, like Shiba Inu, if like that blows up, yeah. I allowed myself to get hopeful about crypto. That was a mistake. I allowed myself to get hopeful, thinking like the people could actually take some power back from the machine. But now the machine has just completely gobbled it up. They figure it out, boy. You know, the BlackRock of the world, State Street, Vanguard, they figure it out quick. You got to give them, they are good at evil, man. They are just so good at being bad. Anything, just anything that can give us any sort of autonomy from them, they identify it and they destroy it.
I mean, it's a casino.
They identify it and they destroy it.
The house always wins.
Yeah, if
nobody always wins.
Yeah,
did I say that right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Not everybody wins.
Like
never.
We have nothing but trees, right? Like let's talk about Brooklyn, where I was born, New York. Government plants trees on the sidewalks, and it's good. It's good to have native plant life because it stops erosion. Remember, it's an island, right? So like it's good. The roots go deep, right? Gives place for indigenous wildlife. But why are all of the trees that they plant, why are none of them fruit-bearing trees? Why can't we have just oranges everywhere down here in Florida? Because that used to be the case. And I'm talking about like the 1950s when the mob was still running Miami and people were going back and forth to Cuba. You can just walk down the street in downtown Fort Lauderdale and pick an orange off a tree.
Regulations?
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah. We could have how many... Imagine a world where you're just walking down the street and there's a peach tree and you just pull a peach, right? Like, it sounds crazy to say it, and you'd have all these animals, all these critters and everything like that eating, and you don't want the squirrels, you don't want the iguanas. Yeah, I guess so, I suppose. We have them now anyway. But why wouldn't we just allow nature to give free, healthy, nutritious food to our population?
It was a commodity back then, right? So
it's a commodity now.
It's a territorial sort of thing. That just transferred into modern plantation.
Imagine if you tried to create a self-sustaining environment, right? Where in the park, this big park, right? We have community gardens and all this other stuff. How long before Monsanto shut that down? How long before corporate agriculture, big pharma, and people like Bill Gates and Appeal knew they couldn't get their hands on what you're putting in your body, and they shut it down? Like, why are there not fruit-bearing trees all over every city in America? I'm sure there's people smarter than me that would know why, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Viviana says, capitalism. That's not capitalism. That's not what capitalism is. That's corporatism, and corporatism is more akin to socialism and fascism. That's government colluding with big business to stamp out competition. That's not capitalism. Capitalism is free market. It's supposed to be. Free market. I wonder why. If anybody knows, let me know. I'm sure that there's...
Gaber Eric says it's hard to clean a peach off the street.
Very, very difficult. Very difficult to clean a peach off the street.
Luke himself says that in the South they still have blackberries, peaches, and pears all over the place.
Yeah, it depends. You know, some places in the Carolinas, I know they got pecan trees. Can't call them pecan trees.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, again, you just sit there and you're like, man, you can't trust anything. You can't trust the food that you eat. Can't trust the water that you drink. You can't trust the air that you're breathing. If you can't trust that, then this government has failed. It is a failed government. I don't believe anybody in our federal government is doing a good job. And they only exist for themselves. You can see it with the Secret Service, Cheadle. She resigned before she got impeached. But she was sitting there the whole time just saying, ask the FBI, ask the FBI, ask the FBI. And then they asked the FBI. And Ray goes, you got to ask the Secret Service. You got to ask the Secret Service. There's no accountability. These people believe they are above us because we allow them to believe that they are above us. These people do not for a second believe that they are answering to the public. They think they are our ruling class. They act like it, they talk like it, and they laugh in our face as we say, man, we don't like what's happening here. We don't like the way this is going. They laugh at us. They get off on gaslighting us. They really do. They get off on it. They get off on telling you that this is the most important election of all time. Democracy is at stake. Oh, by the way, you can't vote for the candidate. We're picking the candidate, but after that, democracy is at stake. Unreal. We can't trust these people, man. We have no recourse. And who knows how deep the rot goes? Because this is not like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year corruption now. Since Eric Holder became Attorney General under Barack Obama, they have been doing everything they can do to replace objective agents and bureaucrats with political appointees. So that's 2008. So from 2008 to at least 2016, that's 8 years. 8 years of every single hire being politically appointed. Then you have 4 years of Trump. But if you believe guys like Jack Posobiec and Tucker Carlson really kind of only really started knowing what he was doing the last 2 years, and then you had COVID. So the deep state with guys like Mike Pompeo and Scaramucci, you know, the Bill Barrs of the world, they kept the political appointees in because they're part of the Uniparty. Part of the endless war, funnel money from the taxpayers to the donor class party. And now you've had 4 years of Biden where they've just been shamelessly corrupt. This has been a shamelessly corrupt regime. And what scares me is that the media knows. The media feels like it's up to them to get Kamala past the finish line. They feel empowered. And they almost like, I think they're going to take this as like a challenge. Like, oh yeah? You don't think I can take one of the least popular Democratic candidates and make her president? You don't think I can take the furthest left-wing senator in United States history? That's a true statement, by the way. That's not hyperbole. She has the furthest left voting record of any senator ever in United States history. Further left than Bernie Sanders, a man who honeymooned in Moscow during the USSR. Her voting record is further left than his. Fact check me. And now the media is going to take her, and we're already going back to the Obama playbook. Oh, you don't like her because you're racist and sexist. I don't know how that's going to work, because in 2012, I really cared about being called a racist. It really bothered me. I would do anything to not be called a racist. No, please, I'm not. Please take control of the country. Please tax me however much you want. Just please don't call me racist. Please. No, I'm a good person. I'm here. Take control. Whatever you want. Take it. Please. I'm not. Please. Now in 2024, a 10-year grizzled veteran of the cultured war. I don't give a f if you think I'm racist. I don't give a shit. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, I'm racist. I guess that means you should just go ahead and turn this country into a communist country. I don't want, God forbid, I'll get called a racist. Shut the fuck up. You're going to need another play in the book because that one don't work anymore. I don't give a shit. My empathy cup has runneth dry. We see your game. We've seen it. It's just too obvious. But I know how powerful the media is. I know there's people that still believe Kyle Rittenhouse killed 3 black people in Kenosha. They still believe that. It's how powerful the media is. It's how powerful the deception machine is. This is how effective militarized propaganda is. So you're looking at this as a logical human being going, there's just no way. There's no way anybody can look at Kamala Harris's record, right? She has no moral high ground on Trump. She's just as deplorable of a human being as he is. He pays prostitutes. She prostitutes herself. He wants law and order. She was a cop. Kamala the cop put people away. And the Democratic Party's got to be careful, man, because all their decision makers are angry women and sassy gay people who just culture vulture black people. These leftist gay men, man, they just look at black women and just emulate them and replace them. I have a crazy prediction. Come back and check on me on this, but I have a nuts prediction. I think by 2032, the majority of black men in America will be voting non-Democrat. Because that party's just lame. It's lame. Like right now, it's still advantageous to vote Democrat. They know where their bread is buttered. They know it's still good, for their wallets. But once that levels out, and once the Democrats especially start turning their special treatment, their eye of Sauron on migrant families, the children of immigrants, Latinos and Latinas especially. What happens when the black people aren't the special people in the Democratic Party anymore? I don't know if they'll go Republican because outside of Trump, there's just nobody in the Republican Party that any black people identify with. But if they were smart, if the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, was smart, they'd go third party, almost like a coalition group or one of like the communists do in parliamentary countries, where they just sit there and they're for sale every election. Okay, you want my 10%? You want my 10% swing to you? Make me a deal. What are you offering? How many cabinet seats do I get to pick? Right? That would be the move. Just have the Republicans and the Democrats just doing everything they possibly can to court your vote every 2 years, every 4 years. That would be the move. But, they seem comfortable. The CBC seems comfortable. There's leadership, and then there's everybody else, right? You're seeing it with the unions. The unions are coming out on behalf of Kamala. We're so excited to support a black woman, because that's all that matters, right? What color skin she has. She was a Hindu woman 15 years ago, but now she's a black woman. And that, she has a vagina. It's good to see the left it is good to see the left remembering what a woman is all of a sudden. That's good. That's good. But those are her two qualifications. She was born a woman with a bit more melanin in her skin. But the media is powerful. They know they just got to gaslight everybody into like 5%. She just got to be about 5%. Then the deep state will take it from there. Look up, before we leave, look up the Cloward Piven strategy. I want to talk to the people about the Cloward Piven. Go Kamala, go from Spain. Stay in Spain, moron. Spain's great because they didn't have a government for like 9 months and nothing changed. Spain is is like the ideal litmus test for exactly how little government does. So Cloward Piven strategy is basically to mobilize militant groups, find a weakness within the system, exploit it until it destroys itself. Right? Now, does that sound like something that is being done over and over and over again? Does that sound like something that we're living through on a daily basis? Tons of comments over there, Skylar. Read them out, please.
Of course. Macho Man says Blindu Waman. Luke himself says Nikki Haley was an example of what you were talking about.
Yep.
Our boy Christian Perello says, what are your thoughts on the questioning of Cheadle? Is she competent or is there something more to it?
Let's stay there. So,
okay.
Interesting. What the thoughts on the questioning of Cheadle were, I thought it was very interesting, Christian, because AOC specifically pulled back the veil and you got to see her ask actual really good questions that were not political theater. So A, she's capable of it. B, it means that when she's not doing it, she's clearly engaging in political theater. So she knows exactly who she is and what she's doing. I don't know if that's a good thing. But B, it was one of the only bipartisan, truly bipartisan moments of this administration. One of the only bipartisan moments of the last 15 years, 17 years, 18 years, right? I mean, how many bipartisan moments have we actually had in the last 25 years, like since 9/11? And I don't know if that's a good thing, because the last time we had true bipartisanship in this country is when they signed the Patriot Act and basically just nullified the Bill of Rights. So maybe having these two people at odds with each other is good for us citizens. When the government's doing nothing, it's better than when they do something, because every time they do something, man, do they f it up. But it was interesting because they're all interested in their self-interest. It was very obvious somebody like AOC, she could be the target of a madman for sure. For sure. So she's sitting there looking at this like, are you this bad at your job? Is my life really legitimately on the line here? And all of these senators, anybody who's incendiary is saying, dude, how, because it just, if you guys think about it, just think about it logically, guys. Think about it logically. Let's not let this take 50 years like JFK before everybody comes to the conclusion that we were lied to. Let's not take 10 years like 9/11 before everybody comes to the conclusion that there's more to this story. Let's think about it now, logically now. Do we all logically really believe that a 20-year-old loser with a bicycle and a backpack full of guns was able to beat the entire United States security apparatus? Like, let's not go any further than that. Let's go no further than that. Let's not even talk about the remote operated bombs. Let's not talk about the encrypted offshore accounts. Let's not talk about the fact that he was in contact with somebody for months that was going back and forth between the FBI headquarters and Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's not talk about the fact that the new Secret Service department head, his response to the assassination attempt is not, we need to get better. It's, Trump shouldn't do any more outdoor rallies. Hey, the Democrats are unreal. The Democrats appoint the guy who is in charge of keeping Trump alive. I'm sure he's really, really like he's very intent on doing that job well. And this guy's first response was, well, maybe he just shouldn't campaign. Okay. I'm sure that would be great. I'm sure, I'm sure if the guy you don't want to be president didn't campaign, that would certainly make your job easier. No doubt about it. But let's forget all of that. And let's just focus on the simple aspect of a 20-year-old loner who worked at a nursing home was able to beat local police, federal police, TSA, and Secret Service with a bicycle and a 5-foot ladder. Does that seem right to you? Does that seem likely to you? Do you think you could beat the world's most expensive, at least, security apparatus with your Huffy? I don't know about that. Smells fishy to me. But what do I know? I'm just an idiot conspiracy theorist.
Everyone's a